It's what Hollywood thriller films are made of. A massive attack killing millions using a virus, bacteria or toxins to contaminate our air, water or food chain. In other words, bioterrorism.
If this thing gets loose, there is no safe place.
And now the worst case scenario is about to come true.
The use of a biological arm by terrorists has for a long time been relegated to the realms of science fiction, but some say this is rapidly changing. Earlier this year, Bill Gates issued a stark warning.
Whether it occurs by the quirk of nature or at the hand of a terrorist, epidemiologists show through their models that a respiratory spread pathogen would kill more than 30 million people in less than a year.
Fortunately, the history of bioterrorism is, for the moment, largely a series of attempts. In 1984 in Oregon, in the United States, followers of an Indian guru deliberately contaminated 10 salad bars with salmonella, 750 people poisoned. Next, in Japan in the early 90s, another cult known as Om dispersed a dangerous botulism-causing toxin. It failed, but the group then went on to release the sarin nerve gas in the Tokyo subway, killing 12 and injuring 50. And in the US in 2001, just after September 11, letters containing powdered anthrax were sent to several news organisations and US senators. 5 deaths and 17 injured. This prompted authorities to prepare for the worst. Imagine these catastrophic scenes. A bioterrorist attack during the American Super Bowl, the US sporting event of the year. Viruses, bacteria or toxins, these are some of the pathogens that governments fear most. Smallpox, a highly contagious virus with no cure. Eradicated thanks to a vaccine, the last known strains are stored in 2 highly secure laboratories in the US and in Russia. Anthrax, known as the poor man's weapon because the bacteria that causes it is relatively cheap and easy to produce. People are infected when spores enter their body. It's not, however, contagious. Botulinum toxin. Sound a little like Botox? That's because it's the same toxin used in small quantities to smooth wrinkles, but its pure form is considered the most toxic substance in the world. And finally, the Ebola virus. 11,000 deaths in 10 African countries over 2 years. Highly contagious and no treatment. It's not easy to turn these into weapons. You need a sample and access to a sophisticated laboratory. And for the moment, only governments have the expertise to launch a mass attack. But enter a potential game changer, DIY biotechnology. Techniques once limited to fancy labs have become more accessible, which is mostly a good thing, except when they're in the wrong hands. Today you can buy a chemistry kit online that allows genetic editing for as little as $150. A technique known as CRISPR works like genetic scissors to cut away DNA and replace it with new genes. Anyone can try it at home. Now, before you wonder if this all sounds a little exaggerated, let me put it into context. In a 2016 report by former US Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, the gene editing technology was cited alongside, wait for it, North Korean nukes and Russian cruise missiles in a list of weapons of mass destruction. Already there's evidence certain groups are interested in this form of terrorism. According to the CIA, in the late 1990s, Al-Qaeda's training camps ran courses on how to conduct attacks using biological toxins. And in 2014, a computer belonging to an ISIS militant contained a 19-page document with instructions on how to turn the bubonic plague into a weapon of war. But overall, there's an unfortunate dilemma here. The risk of bioterrorism is low, but the investment required to protect ourselves enormous. Our guest has been researching this very complex predicament.
When you you have a chemical attack, then you have the effects are immediate. When you have a biological attack, you can have maybe 1, 2, 3, or even 5 or 7 days before you experience the first effect of the attack. For a biological attack, it's more your whole health system which is challenged, because you have to cure the people that are ill, of course, but you also have to be able to prevent the spreading of the epidemic. Some states, like the United States, have decided to invest massively in the prevention and the defense program on biological terrorism. I think the US is spending more than $7 billion a year in biological defense. In Europe, I think there is a clear awareness about the risk. And most of all, in Europe, we have a very good epidemiological survey system. So if your health system is able to detect a disease which is not normal, that's of course a strong argument to react quickly to prevent the spreading of the disease in the population.
So the chance of a mass biological attack is unlikely in the short term, but the possibility can't be ruled out. For the moment, however, its strength lies not in its ability to inflict pain, but in its capacity to be used as a weapon of fear.